Hey everyone, it's Jack and Adam from Cultaholic.com.
I don't know what that was. Keep going.
We're doing a live stream for tonight's Raw Superstar Shakeup edition. But before that, as always, we have some lovely news, some wrestling news, some of which actually does concern the show itself. So pretty interesting stuff. Let's take a look at all of the headlines. First of all, we take a look at the ongoing story that tonight's Raw is apparently being rewritten due to travel issues. Next up, WWE.com appears to have teased an NXT call-up as well as a major tag team split. And finally, Sasha Banks has broken her Twitter silence after recent rumours of backstage issues. So, first of all, let's go to John Pollock of Post Wrestling, who suggests, and this is a story that's kind of, once it was broken, it's been everywhere because it's quite exciting, because it concerns the show that's about to happen. But also a bit of a logistical nightmare for WWE. He suggests that tonight's highly anticipated Superstar Shakeup edition of Monday Night Raw is having some issues regarding travel. There's been there's various factors at play here. Mm-hmm. There's been extreme weather on the East Coast. That's what you're doing in the intro. It all comes full circle. There's also been the fact that various superstars took a break after WrestleMania weekend. So they've been all over the place. They're not just all flying in from one town. They're coming from all over. Some of them even overseas.
Yes.
So that's going to be an issue. The show is in Montreal as well. So it's not even as if they're all going to just a different town in the States. They've got to cross the border as well. And it just seems to be a bit of an issue to the extent where tonight's Superstar Shakeup edition of Raw could be being rewritten, which, I mean, that would be difficult for a normal Raw, but for this one,
it's a disaster, isn't it? It's the worst possible timing for something like this to happen, and it just worries me that basically we'll know if this is true or not if we see a 20-minute Baron Corbin promo that has had to be inserted on the fly. Maybe we would see that anyway. Who knows? Who knows? But yeah, it's who knows who's being called up, who knows who is switching brands, and if those people are able to get in or not. We might see video packages from those guys explaining why they're not on the show. Who knows? Yeah. But it could be some underwhelming drafts tonight, I think, in their presentation at least.
I'm also just thinking, what if there's like a big switch about to happen, but that superstar can't be on the show? That kind of, would they just even scrap it altogether and go, no, you know what, stay on Raw, or something like that?
Possibly. I feel like they would probably still do it. We might see a more stacked SmackDown or a more sort of an odd SmackDown tomorrow. If this is true, we might see sort of Raw guys, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I also think that, you know what, there is a glimmer of hope here, because often when last minute things happen, weirdly WWE seem to thrive sometimes. Like, was it TLC, when we just had Balor versus Styles? Because when half the Raw roster got ill.
Yeah, but we also got Uncle Kurt joining the Shield.
And it was brilliant.
Yeah, that's exactly how I wanted Kurt Angle's retirement. His retirement match, his return match in the WWE.
But it was good though.
It was funny.
It was.
Let's not talk about Kurt Angle, it's still a sore subject.
But we did see Balor versus Styles. Sometimes when this sort of thing happens, even, don't they just throw on a really long match? And a match will just go and go and it'll be brilliant. Sometimes when this sort of thing happens, WWE have a tendency often to rise to the occasion and kind of just chuck something together and sort of do it in a way where most of the topsy-turvy booking or the convoluted storylines are just cut through, and it's almost more like NXT and it's just simple.
It would be nice, wouldn't it? Maybe this should happen every week.
But I don't know if they can do that on a Superstar Shakeup.
It's a difficult one. Yeah. We'll see tonight. Tune into our live stream.
Go on, it'll be fun. Next up, WWE.com have teased various potential shakeups in the Superstar Shakeup in an article called 5 Moves We'd Like to See on tonight's or in the Superstar Shakeup. Was it 5 moves?
5 moves. 5.
Switch. 5 shake-ups. And they sort of teased that also by including, well, they didn't just tease it, they said this is what we'd like to see, which is odd from the company that's in charge of it.
Yeah, this is really weird. To me, like, WWE.com editorial, they seem to have fairly free reign, but with the sort of the gravitas of numerous of these sort of potential shakeups, I don't think it would be allowed to happen, because otherwise you're going to get 2 very underwhelming TV shows. Yeah. If something like this doesn't happen. Let's run them down one by one.
I think this could be a cheeky double bluff, or some of them are false.
One is just going to be a crap.
Well, let's start off with, I guess, the big one, not in terms of name value, but in terms of storylines and what it would do for the landscape of the roster, which would be Xavier Woods going to Monday Night Raw, which is something that's been suggested in this article, which would obviously mean not an acrimonious breakup of the New Day, but a split, definitely, which is something that the New Day have always said, no, never.
There's kind of... I think if this is going to happen, and they are going to split the New Day, this is actually the way that I would like to see it. I don't want to see the fairly, I guess, predictable Big E heel turn and, brand him as a monster again. I'd rather them have to be split up because of logistics, if that makes sense, and then to still have that sort of brotherhood that could be revisited.
Didn't
without
the Dudleys do the same? When they split
back in the original one, they split, and then
the
Devon went
Hardys
to, I think, SmackDown, and then became Reverend Devon.
And then Batista came. I'd quite like to see that as well. Although recently, I must confess, I've been having dark thoughts about this. I think that I'd like, and this is going to get hammered in the comments, but I'd like, after Xavier's been so emotional after Kofi winning, I want to see him turn heel.
Yeah.
No.
I don't want to see it. You know what? I don't mind a heel turn for the entirety of the New Day. Like, if all of them turn heel, I think it's a terrible time to do it. That's for sure. It's a weird one. Kofi said in an interview, I think it was yesterday, that the New Day will never split up. The timing of this feels weird. I really hope we don't see it. Because it'll just take all the momentum and the enjoyment out of Kofi's run. Unless, maybe his first challenger would be Big E or Xavier. It's not something I want to see.
No, I think on the whole, I do agree with you. Next up, a more predictable one, or maybe more likely one, I should say, given last week's SmackDown. Braun Strowman to SmackDown, which I think does seem more likely just because he came out on SmackDown last week and attacked Samoa Joe, and there's a feud straight away for a title.
That's it. Either Joe is going to Raw or Strowman's going to SmackDown. I think it's that simple. They're setting that up. It was a weird thing to happen if they don't go anywhere with it.
Not one that I'd like to see, because I don't think that... Not that I don't think they could have good matches, it's just that I don't want to see either guy lose at the moment.
Yeah, especially Joe.
Joe's
just rebuilding his momentum now after so long of just being booked very, very poorly. And it panicked me seeing Braun come out, because I don't think Samoa Joe's going to come out of that on top.
No.
And that's a concern.
Whereas Braun's also got all the momentum after defeating Colin Jost at WrestleMania. Sasha Banks to SmackDown. That's just completely out of the blue because of her recent... I mean, no one knows where Sasha's going to end up, whether it's even going to be WWE.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. We'll talk a bit more about her in the next story as well.
This is the one that is sort of most intriguing to me in a way, because I just don't see WWE.com staff being allowed to publish something like this.
Yeah, at the moment.
If there aren't plans, if they don't know the absolute status of Sasha Banks, that's a weird one to include. To be honest, I'd like to see her and Bayley break up at this point. I think they've done all that they can. I don't want to see them just get the belts back from the Iconics in some way and do it again. I don't have a problem with Sasha going to SmackDown or anything. It's just a weird one for her to be included.
Yes. Next up, all 4 members of the Undisputed Era to Raw.
Including Roddy.
Which is weird because him and Adam Cole were having a bit of issues.
Yes, a lot of the stuff hasn't aired yet, but the WWE exclusive, they were breaking out. Yeah,
because they haven't. Nothing's happened yet, but Adam Cole was shouting at Roderick Strong after losing to Johnny Gargano, blaming him for the loss.
Turn that camera off.
Yeah, he said it exactly like that. And also last week when we were doing our live streams for Raw and SmackDown, the chat, every little break or every little, there's someone about a debut, chat would just all say, Undisputed Era, here they come. Everyone wants it so badly. Everyone wants to see them on the main roster. But I don't know if they'd do it. Would they tease it if it wasn't going to happen on either brand? It's weird.
I really don't know. It's an odd one, isn't it? I'd love to see them called up.
Yeah.
Great stable. I don't want to see them break up in NXT if that's where they're going with this thing. I'd like to see them come up to the main roster as a unit. At the same time, Roddy always seemed like the one that was a bit out of place for them.
And finally, the final one that was sort of hinted at, or I guess pitched in this article, was Roman Reigns to SmackDown. I can see that making sense, actually.
Yeah, he's not in the same position as John Cena, in that he was such like a Raw guy that we'll never see that.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like, obviously, Cena.
We only did once he'd already sort of not gone part-time, but he diminished in stature.
Yeah, absolutely.
He was no longer the main guy.
I mean, they teased it once. They sort of pointed out how laughable it would be for John Cena to go to SmackDown.
When he went back to...
Yeah, at the end of the show. He was first drafted to SmackDown, and then at the end of the show, he was last drafted to Raw again. I'd like to see Roman over there.
Yeah, and also we have to remember as well that towards the end of the year, SmackDown could become the A show because of its move to Fox and the whole interest in the MMA. So there's all been these rumours that SmackDown's going to be more of a sports-orientated show, and that's what Fox want.
Okay, give me a bold prediction. Who is going to SmackDown from Raw tonight? Keeping in mind that Fox stuff.
So it can't be Strowman because it's quite obvious. I'm going to go for, if she stays, Ronda Rousey. If she stays in the company, Ronda Rousey.
I'm going for another MMA legend.
Go on.
Brock Lesnar.
You think?
Even if he does, I think they'll just tease it. I don't think we'll see him, maybe even until the Fox deal takes place or starts. But I think Brock's a good shout. I think they'll want him over there, especially if they're presenting it as a more sports-based,
very interesting
TV program. Yeah.
Tonight on Raw, AJ Styles
over to Raw.
Yeah,
I think that's a safe bet. He's been on SmackDown for an awful long time.
Yes,
I couldn't agree more.
Next up, Sasha Banks has broken her Twitter silence after all these recent stories of everything seemed to start when herself and Bayley found out they were losing. This is according to various reports, so we don't know how much of it exactly is true, but there seems to be enough smoke that maybe there is some truth to it. But it all seemed to start, I think they only found out hours before WrestleMania that they weren't retaining the women's tag team titles, they were going to lose them to the Iconics, and then there's been all these reports that Sasha, especially, and also Bayley, took it very badly, were loudly complaining backstage and protesting almost.
Laying on the floor.
Right.
Batting is what some websites have been reporting.
Oh, I just took it as more of like a passive lying on the floor.
Oh, okay. I was imagining like a toddler.
I could see them just like, whatever.
I think that's probably more likely.
Yeah, they're cool. So then Sasha sort of went silent, but then just before this, she did post an Instagram picture of herself, Bayley, and the Iconics all smiling after the match, the Iconics with the titles, as if to say, it's nothing against them.
Yeah.
But I can see both sides of it, because on one hand, Sasha, she's being booked, it's not real, she shouldn't, there's that whole argument of like, just do what you're booked to do. But on the other hand, out of everyone in the women's division, you could argue that Sasha's been messed around the most, and has the most promise out of anyone to be messed around.
Oh, yeah.
There's the whole tease feud with Bayley that never happened. She's won the belt and lost it the next night. She's done all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's just been kind of...
She strikes me as somebody who's very passionate about the art of wrestling. In the same way that Dean Ambrose, right? He was making lots and lots of money in WWE, but he really wants to perform at a certain level that he may not be able to perform at because of restrictions within the WWE. And I think that's how it appears to me. Obviously, she was reportedly booked for Raw last week and then wasn't there. She had to pull out of a TV show as well.
Williams,
and now she's taken to Twitter with this charming statement, which paints her in a very good light. If you only knew your marks, hashtag Raw, hashtag SD Live, hashtag NXT, hashtag NXT UK, hashtag Progress, hashtag Evolve, hashtag Shakeup, and then the kiss my ass emoji.
Oh, is that what that was?
The peach.
Oh, I thought she'd just done some nice emojis. Right, okay.
Not nice ones.
No?
Your mark?
Oh, sorry, I've totally fallen for it. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens. Will she be on tonight's show? Will she be on tomorrow night's show? Where's she going to go?
We were talking about this earlier. I'm not sure if she's going to make the move to All Elite, if that's what's going to happen, or wherever she may go, that she's especially endearing herself to a certain portion of the audience who would otherwise be very excited about that move.
Right. Okay.
I think if it was announced, they would just be, oh, good, it's Sasha, she's been booked horribly. But in the past few weeks, we've seen a sort of viewer sentiment towards Sasha take a bit of a turn for the worst, amid reports that we don't know if they're true or not.
True, but I still think if she did turn up there, it would be crazy. The roof would go off the place. Yeah.
We'll see.
Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments section down below. You can follow Cultaholic on Twitter @Cultaholic and on Facebook at facebook.com/Cultaholic. If you enjoy what we do, then please do check out our Patreon, patreon.com/Cultaholic, where you can pledge. And don't forget, of course, most importantly of all, to hit subscribe and to join us.